Welcome to a new video. Today we are going to do exploratory data analysis using pandas and matplotlib from Python. I'm going to add this datasets link in the description of this video and you can download it for trying the codes by yourself. Let's directly start. We are going to start by the importing libraries. We will say import pandas as pd and we are going to import matplotlib.pyplot as plt, and we can import numpy. Maybe we can use it when we are doing our data analysis. And now we are going to turn our CSV file into a pandas data frame. For that we are going to say data and we will use read CSV from pandas and we will say shopping trends.csv, and let's display the first 5 rows for checking our data is read successfully, and it's looking great. So we have customer ID as index column, age, gender, item purchased, category, purchase amount, location, size, color, season, review rating, subscription status, payment method, shipping type, discount applied, promo code used, previous purchases, preferred payment method, and frequency of purchases. So as we can see, we have both numeric and categorical columns. And let's get general information about our dataset. So we can say data.info and we can get the general information. We have information like the memory usage and the data types, etc. Okay, let's get the numerical summaries of the numerical columns. So for that we will say data.describe and we are going to get the summary for the numerical columns. So for example, from here we can say that our average age is 44 and our minimum age is 18 and the maximum is 17. And from here, by checking the customer IDs maximum, we can see the row count. Actually, let's check it. Maybe it can't be accurate. So we will say data.shape and it's correct, 3,900. We can see the average purchase amount, the minimum and maximum. I think it means, yeah, it is in dollars, and we can see that we have review rating. Average rating is 3.74 and seems great. Okay, let's check if our data have any NA values. So we will say data.isNA, and when we run like this we are going to get booleans like we have true and false for all rows, and if we say .sum we are going to get the counts of the NA valued rows. So we don't have any, and let's check for the duplicates. So we can say data duplicated and get the, you can see the booleans, and we can say sum for getting the total count of it, and we have 0. Great. Okay, let's plot a histogram of age, and for that we can say data age.plot and let's set the kind as histogram, and we can give it a title like plt.title histogram of age, and here it is. So if we don't want this text to appear, we can say plt.show at the end and you are going to see that it's going to disappear. Great. Okay, let's call our columns and see what we can do with them. So I will say data.columns and you can stop the video for checking what columns we have. I'm going to stop the record and I will check. Okay, let's generate a bar plot for gender distribution. So for that we will say data gender and we will use value counts, and let's use .plot and we are going to set the kind as bar this time, and let's say plt.title and it's going to be bar plot of gender distribution, and let's use plt.show, and I think I need to put a space in here. Great. Okay, let's do a group by operation. Let's group our data by category and calculate mean purchase amount. So for that we will say data.groupBy and we will say category and we are going to take the values of purchase amount in dollars, and we will say .mean aggregation function. Great. Actually, you can manipulate this result, like you can say sort values, and for sorting in descending order you can say ascending and you can just put false for getting the descending order. And what you can do, let's say you want to take the top 2, then you can just say after the sorting .head and you can write 2 in here and you are going to get the maximum 2 here. So for the bottom ones, you can just use tail like this, or if you want to see the 3 of them, you can just do like this. Great. Okay, let's sort our data by review rating. So for that, we will say data.sort values, and we will say review rating, and let's set ascending as false, which means we are going to sort our data in descending order. So I think review rating will be right in here. Great, it's sorting in descending order. But if you want to keep this sorted version, but let's just check the original data frame, you are going to see that the original sorting didn't change. So what you can do in here is you can just say data equals to this sorted version, or we have a simpler solution. We can just say in place equals to true, and it's going to update the original data frame this time. So whenever we call the data like this, you are going to see it's going to be sorted in the descending order based on the review rating column. Okay, let's create a pie chart for subscription status. So for that, we will say data subscription status, and we are going to say value count, and we will use, actually we need parentheses, and we will say dot plot, and this time we are going to set the kind as pie, and let's say plt.show again, and actually not show, we are going to say show, right? But we need to give this a title for it to look better. Let's say pie chart of subscription, and let's get this. Okay, let's use value count on color for counting the occurrences of each color. So for that, we will say data color, and we will use value counts, and here it is. Actually, we can just sort it, but I think it's sorted in descending order. Great. We can just get the top 5 in here, and it looks great. Okay. If you want to visualize this kind of information, you can just do dot plot, and you can just say kind pie like this for seeing this kind of information visual. Great. Let's generate a scatter plot for previous purchases against review rating. I'm not sure it's going to be meaningful thing, but let's try it out. So we will say data plot, and we are going to say x is going to be equal to the previous purchases, and y is going to be equal to the review rating, and we are going to say kind, and we will say scatter. Also, let's give this a title like scatter plot and previous purchases and review rating, and let's use plt.show in here. Great. I think it is not, it doesn't have any meaning, but okay. So maybe we can do different thing. We can just plot the first 10. Actually, it's going to be meaningless again, but let's just see it out. Okay. And since this is sorted, it has the same values, and if you say like 75 in here, we are going to have different values than 5. Actually, we have different values, but most of them are 5. Great. Okay. Okay, let's do some more group bys. Actually, group bys are really useful when you are doing data analysis because you can find really good information with grouping data. Let's group our data by season and find the sum of purchase amount. So for that, we will say data group by, and we will say season, then we will say purchase amount United States of American dollars, and we will say sum like this. Actually, we got an error. I think it's because the column name. Okay, I'm just going to check the correct version. I think we need capital letter in here, and this time we are going to get accurate thing. Great. Okay, let's create a box plot for purchase amount based on frequency of purchases. For that, we will say data.boxplot, and we will say column is going to be equal to the purchase. Actually, I'm mistyping it. Purchase amount USD, and I'm just going to change this. Purchase amount USD, and we will say buy, and we will say frequency of purchase, and let's say plt.title and box plot of purchase amount based on frequency of purchases, and we will use plt.show again, and here it is. Great. Okay, let's do a value count for preferred payment method. So for that we will say data preferred payment method, and we are going to say dot value counts, and it's going to be right in here. Great. I think the most preferred one is PayPal. We can just quickly check this, like we can use maximum aggregation function, and it's 677, and which one was the 677 is PayPal. Great. So how we can check the maximum? Like, it's not necessary in here, but imagine that you have thousands of rows like this in this series, and you can just do sort values, and you can sort it by descending order, and you can just say head and 1. So what will happen is we are going to see the PayPal in here. This is just a method that you can do, or for seeing the least using one, you can just use tail, and you can see that it's bank transfer. Great. Okay, let's create a pivot table for location and item purchased with the mean of purchase amount USD. So for that we will say pandas.pivot table, and we will say data. Let's give the values as per. It's actually like the Excel. We will say purchase amount USD, and we will set index, and we will say at the index side location. Then we will say columns are going to be equal to the item purchased, and we will say aggregation function, and it's going to be mean. Great. Here we have the data we wanted. So at the columns we have the items, and at the rows we have the locations, and at the cells we have the dollars and their mean amount. Great. Okay. Actually it looks a little bit complicated. For just seeing it simply, we can just use head in here again, and you can see we got the information we wanted at the starting. Great. Okay, let's group our data by size and calculate the mean of purchase amount USD. So for that we will say data group by, and we will say size, then we will say actually brackets, we will say purchase amount USD, and we will use mean aggregation function. Great. Okay, let's group our data by payment method and find the sum of purchase amount dollars. So we will say data group by, and we will say payment method, and we are going to get purchase amount dollars, and we will use sum aggregation function. Here it is. Okay, now let's group our data by discount applied and calculate the maximum review rating for that. So for that we are going to do data group by, and we will say discount applied this time, and we are going to get the values of review rating, and we will use dot maximum, actually x. Great. Actually it's meaningless because we have 5, and we can just take the mean of it instead of maximum. So this time it's going to be meaningful. Great. Let's group our data by color and count the occurrences of each category. For that we will say data group by color, and we will say category, and we will use dot value counts. Great. Okay. Actually I'm trying to cover a lot of different stuff, like we covered some aggregation function with group bys, mean in here, value counts in here. I'm doing a lot of group bys because they are super important and I want to show them in the video. Okay, let's group our data by frequency of purchases and find the mean previous purchase. For that we will say data group by, and we will say frequency of purchases, and we are going to take the values of previous purchases, and let's actually purchases, and let's use median this time. Great. Okay, let's group our data by season and calculate the mean review rating. So for that we will say data group by, and we will use season, then we will say review rating, and we can use .mean like this. Let's do some more data visualization before finishing the video, and then we can finish this project. So let's create a bar plot for season with the count of each season. So we will say data season, and we will use value counts, and we are going to use the plot, and let's set the plot as bar plot, and then we will say plt x label season, and we are going to say y label count, and let's give this a title like count of purchases in each season, and we will use plt.show. Great. Okay, let's create a pie chart for category distribution. So for that we will say data, and we will say category, and then we are going to use value counts again, and we are going to use plot, and it's going to be equal to the kind pie, and we can just give this a title like distribution of purchases by category, and we are going to use plt.show at the end, and here is our pie chart. Okay, now create a box plot for review rating based on gender. So we will say data box plot again, and we are going to say column is going to be equal to the review rating, and we will set the by as gender this time, and we will say x label, we will give gender in here, and we will say y label, we will give review rating in here, and we are going to say plt.title review rating distribution by gender, and we will use plt.show at the end. Great. By the way, I'm not evaluating any of the results of the plots group bys because I'm showing the technical part, and this commenting thing can actually differ by domain to domain, and you can just write comments if you are going to add this to your portfolio. Like from checking this box plot, we can say that male customers are likely to give more rating on the review side based on this box plot. How you can understand this is the male box plot in here is way higher at the minimum and the maximum both sides, and the mean of it is higher than the female one. So we can just make a comment like this, and for the others you can, for example, you can see the distribution of purchases by category is maximum at the clothing and minimum at the outerwear, and you can make comments like this if you are going to put this to your portfolio. If I do comments like this, the video is going to be like 3 or 4 hours, so that's why I'm skipping it. Okay, let's create a histogram for purchase amount with 10 bins. So for that we will say data purchase amount USD dot plot, and we will say kind histogram, and we will set the bins as 10. Then we will say plt x label, let's say USD shortly, and plt y label frequency, and we will say plt.title histogram of purchase amount distribution, and we will use plt.show at the end of it. Great. Okay, let's group our data by color and plot a bar chart for mean review rating. So for that we will say data.group by, and we will get the color in here, then we will say review rating, and we will use .mean, and we will say .plot kind is equal to the bar, and x label color, y label mean review rating, and title mean review rating for each color, and we will use plt.show. Great, but it seems a little bit complex because we have a lot of values in the x-axis. So what we can do easily is we can just get dot head in here, and we are going to get the random selected 5, and great. Let's move on. Let's group our data by payment method and plot a pie chart for the sum of purchase amount. So for that we will say data group by, and we are going to say payment method, and we will say purchase amount USD, and we are going to take the sum of this, then we will say plot, and it's going to be equal to the pie, and we will say plt.title, then we will say sum of purchase amount by payment method, and let's use plt.show at the end. Great. Actually, you can see that we have a ylabel in here. For fixing it, you can simply do plt.ylabel, and you can just enter an empty string in here, and you are going to see it's going to look way smoother. Okay, let's do final 1 or 2 visualizations and then finish this project. Let's group our data by frequency of purchases and plot a box plot for purchase amount. So for that, we will say data box plot, and we will say column is going to be equal to the purchase amount dollar, then we will say by, and then we will say frequency of purchases, and then we are going to say x label is going to be equal to the frequency of purchases, and y label is going to be equal to the purchase amount dollar. Then give this a title like purchase amount distribution by frequency of purchases, and we can just use plt.show at the end. Great. Okay, let's do a final one. Let's group our data by season and plot a pie chart for the sum of purchase amount. So for that we will say data group by season, and we will say purchase amount dollar, then we will use sum, and we will say plot, and it's going to be equal to the pie. Then we will say plt.xlabel, and we are going to say season for the x, and y label we will say sum of purchase amount USD, and we will use plt.title sum of purchase amount by season, and we will use plt.show. Great. Seems great. By the way, if you want to change the aggregation function on this, like you can just change the sum with mean for getting the means in the chart, or you can just change it to median, and you are going to see that it's going to change up. You can just get maximum of aggregation functions like in here, or I don't know, minimum maybe, and you can just change it like this. Okay, let's just fix this to sum and finish our video. That was all from me for this project. I'm creating content about data science and programming. You can subscribe to my channel for more. I have a full playlist of data analysis projects in my channel. You can check my channel for that playlist. Have a great day.